Dong Zhuo was born in the far northwest at Lindao in the West Valley Land. As the governor of Hedong, Dong Zhuo himself was arrogant and overbearing, but the day he had treated Liu Bei with contumely had been his last, had not Liu Bei and Guan Yu restrained their wrathful brother Zheng Bei.
"Remember, here's the government commission. Who are we to judge and slay?"
said Liu Bei.
"It is bitter to take orders from such a wretch. I would rather slay him. You may stay here if you wish to, but I will seek some other place,"
said Zheng Bei.
"We three are one in life and death. There is no parting for us. We will all go hence."
So spoke Liu Bei, and his brother was satisfied. Wherefore all three set out and lost no time in traveling until they came to Zhu Zun, who received them well and accepted their aid in attacking Zheng Bao. At this time, Cao Cao had joined himself to Huang Fusong, and they were trying to destroy Zheng Liang, and there was a great battle at Zhuyang. Zheng Bao was commanding some 80,000 troops. The rebel had led his army to a strong position in the rear of the hills. An attack being decided upon, Liu Bei was the van leader. On the rebel side, a general of Zheng Bao, Gao Sheng, came out to offer battle. Liu Bei sent Zheng Fei to smite Gao Sheng. Outrode Zheng Fei at full speed, his spear ready set. After a few bouts, Zheng Fei wounded Gao Sheng, who was unhorsed. At this, Liu Bei signaled the main army to advance. Then Zheng Bao, while still mounted, loosened his hair, grasped his sword, and uttered his incantations. Thereupon began the wind to howl, and the thunder to roll, while a dense black cloud from the heavens settled upon the field. And there it seemed to be horsemen, footmen, innumerable, swept to attack the imperial troops. Fear came upon them, and Liu Bei led off his troops, but they were in disorder and returned defeated. Zhu Zun and Liu Bei considered the matter.
"Zheng Bao uses magic,"
said Zhu Zun.
"Tomorrow, then, will I prepare counter-magic in the shape of blood of slaughtered swine and goats. This blood shall be sprinkled upon their hosts from the precipices above my soldiers in ambush. Thus shall we be able to break through their shamanic art."
So it was done. Guan Yu and Zheng Fei took each 1,000 troops and hid them on the high cliffs behind the hills, and they had plentiful supply of blood of swine and goats and all manner of filthy things. And so next day, when the rebels with fluttering banners and rolling drums came out to challenge, Liu Bei rode forth to meet them. At the same moment that the armies met, again Zheng Bao began magic, and again the elements began to struggle together. Sand flew in clouds, pebbles were swept along the ground, black masses of vapor filled the skies, and rolling masses of foot and horse sent from on high. Liu Bei turned as before to flee, and the rebels rushed on. But as they pressed through the hills, trumpets blared, and the hidden soldiers exploded bombs, threw down filth, and spattered blood. The masses of soldiers and horses in the air fluttered to the earth as fragments of torn paper. The wind ceased to blow, the thunder subsided, the sand sank, and the pebbles lay still upon the ground. Zheng Bao quickly saw that his magic was being countered, and turned to retire. Then he was attacked on the flanks by Guan Yu and Zheng Fei, and in the rear by Liu Bei and Zhu Zun. The rebels were routed. Liu Bei, seeing from afar the banner of Zheng Bao, Lord of Earth, galloped towards it, but only succeeded in wounding Zheng Bao with an arrow in the left arm. Wounded though he was, Zheng Bao got away into the city of Yangzheng, where he fortified himself and was besieged by Zhu Zun. Scouts, sent out to get news of Huang Fusong, reported, "Commander, Huang Fusong had been very successful, and Dong Zhuo had suffered many reverses. Therefore, the court put Huang Fusong in the latter's place. Zheng Xiao had died before Huang Fusong's arrival. Zheng Liang had added his brother's army to his own, but no headway could be made against Huang Fusong, whose army gained 7 successive victories, and Zheng Liang was slain at Zhuyang. Beside this, Zheng Xiao's coffin was exhumed, the corpse beheaded, and the head, after exposure, was sent to capital Luoyang. The common crowd had surrendered. For these services, Huang Fusong was promoted to General of Flying Chariots and the Imperial Protector of Zizhou. Huang Fusong did not forget his friends. His first act after he had attained to power was to memorialize the throne concerning the case of Liu Zhi, who was then restored to his former rank for his meritorious conduct. Cao Cao also received advancement for his services, and is preparing to go to Zinan, his new post. Hearing these things, Zhu Cun pressed harder yet upon Yang Cheng, and the approaching breakup of the rebellion became evident. Then one of Zheng Bao's officers, Yang Zheng, killed his leader and brought the head in token of submission. Thus, rebellion in that part of the country was stamped out, and Zhu Cun made his report to the government. However, the embers of the Yellow Turban still smoldered. 3 other rebels, Zhao Hong, Han Zhong, and Sun Zhong, gathered some 30,000 rebels and began to murder and rob and burn, calling themselves the Avengers of Master Zheng Jiao. The court commanded the successful Zhu Cun to lead his veteran and successful troops to destroy the rebels. He at once marched towards the city of Yangcheng. When Zhu Cun arrived, Han Zhong went to oppose him. Zhu Cun sent Liu Bei and his brothers to attack the southwest corner of the city. Han Zhong at once led the best of his troops to defend the city. Meanwhile, Zhu Cun himself led 2,000 armored horsemen to attack the opposite corner. The rebels, thinking the city being lost, abandoned the southwest and turned back into the city to help the defenders. Liu Bei pressed hotly in their rear, and they were utterly routed. They took refuge in the city, which was then invested. When famine pressed upon the besieged, they sent a messenger to offer to surrender, but Zhu Cun refused the offer.
Seeing that the founder of the Han Dynasty, Liu Bei, the supreme ancestor, could welcome the submissive and receive the favorable, why reject these?
Said Liu Bei to Zhu Cun.
Our conditions are different,
Replied Zhu Zhen.
In those old days, disorder was universal, and the people had no fixed lord. Wherefore, submission was welcomed, and support rewarded to encourage people to come over. Now the empire is unified, and the Yellow Turbans are the only malcontents. To receive their surrender is not to encourage the good. To allow brigands, when successful, is to give way to every license, and to let them surrender when they fail is to encourage brigandage. Your plan is not a good one.
Liu Bei replied.
Not to let the brigands surrender as well, but the city is surrounded as by an iron barrel. If the rebels' request be refused, they will be desperate and fight to the death, and we can hardly withstand a myriad of such men. Moreover, in the city there are many times that number, all doomed to death. Let us withdraw from one corner and only attack the opposite. They will all assuredly flee and have no desire to fight. We shall take them.
Zhu Cun saw that the advice was good and followed it. As predicted, the rebels ran out, led by Han Zhong. The besiegers fell upon them as they fled. Han Zhong was slain. The rebels scattered in all directions, but the other 2 rebel chieftains, Zhao Hong and Sun Zhong, came with large reinforcements, and as they appeared very strong, the imperial soldiers retired, and the new body of rebels re-entered Yangcheng. Zhu Cun camped 3 miles from the city, and prepared to attack. Just then, there arrived a body of horse and foot from the east. At the lead was one general with a broad, open face, a body as an alert tiger's, and a torso as a lofty bear's. His name was Sun Jian.